All right, guys, finally, we're back at it with the latest version of FSD. We finally got version 14. It's been a while. I know you guys have been asking where we've been, what we've been doing, how come we haven't had it. I'll explain everything right now. But first and foremost, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and of course, thanks for subscribing. Truly appreciate the support. So first, I'll give you the quick background, then we'll talk about the release notes, and then we'll jump into the drive. We're going to do a little bit of a longer drive just to get the full breadth and scope of what they have to offer with this particular build. I'll put the chapters in the description below so you can skip through and skip ahead and get to where you want to see with this particular video. So, okay, so here we go. Version 14 has been released. It's been released for a couple weeks now for the Model 3 and Model Y. Okay, so this is the new latest version, first and foremost, and this is going to be 14.1.3, but it's still on version 14. So what happened? Between the last time we had FSD, which was 13.2.9, the latest build that most people are probably still on right now, if you have AI4, if you're on version 12, you have hardware 3, so on and so forth, and that's it. But the idea is that for every version that they create, they're adding new things, new capabilities. In this instance, we were looking for a 4x parameter increase. And so not to get too technical, but just to keep it broad for the everyman, the parameter count means the more complex scenarios that the model that's being trained on, or the brains of the car, can handle, right? And so the more parameters you add, the smarter the car gets, the more complex scenarios it can handle. But as a result, as you add more parameters, you need more computing power, which is why version 13 had a certain number, 3x, 4x, more parameters than version 12. And that's why hardware 3 doesn't have the compute power to run that new version, because it requires more computing to handle the more parameters. We've now taken a jump from the parameters that we had in version 13 and now gone to 4x parameters in now version 14. So every time they add more parameters, they have to retrain the model, which warrants a new version number, which is version 14. That's the first part of it, the easy part of it. The second part of it is that they launched a robotaxi network, and I believe robotaxi was always launched with maybe a later version of 13 or an early version of 14, however you want to call it, and that's based on the Model Y platform. The Cybercab that they're building is also based on the Model Y platform. Model Y, Model 3, same platform. And so they launched that in robotaxi service in Austin. They're expanding to different areas. It's for the Model Y, and that's the car that they're building version 14 against. So that's going to be the best experience because it's built for that particular form factor. And so what they wind up doing is creating the code against 3 and Y, or building the models against 3 and Y and training against that data. And then they make adjustments for different form factors such as Model S, Model X, Cybertruck, so on and so forth, right? Same hardware, same compute, but it just requires a different set of parameters to know that this car is a little bit wider, so don't take the turn so tight, right? Things like that. Or it needs to park a certain way because the Cybertruck is huge and, it needs to park a different way than you would park a Model 3 or a Model Y, right? So those are the differences. Those are the ways in which Tesla's thinking right now. And again, using that robotaxi network as the lead. So they're even on a higher or more advanced version of version 14 than this one. You may have seen some videos of it with the gold path planner. That's an advanced version of what we're doing right now, even for this version right here. Okay, so they created that version. They're building against Model 3 and Model Y, and they release it to early access. Even the OG early access people, as well as newly added early access people that got added later in the summer this year, are also being included in that as well. But it's going to be specifically for the 3 and Y. So that's what they released initially. So therefore, your boy here with the Model S and Model X was sort of bottom feeders now, waiting for them to release it to us, and that was the cause of the delay, right? Because they released it to Model 3 and Y first. A couple versions have passed, 14.1, 14.2, and I'm sure that the robotaxi was probably on version 14 proper. Then they iterated again to make 14.1, which is what we got in customer cars, 3s and Ys that you may have seen already. And now we got 14.1.2, which they released again, the 3 and Y again to validate, make sure it's good, and then also making the adjustment for Model S and X. And now here we are today with 14.1.3, which is now being rolled out for early access Model S and Model X users. I've not seen Cybertruck just yet, even for people I know who are early access for Cybertruck outside of Tesla employees. I've not seen anything there. So I think it's right now just for Model S and X early access. If you hadn't got it yet, you're going to get it soon Once we finish validating it, everybody's making sure it's good all over the different areas in the world where early access people are. They test and validate it, then they'll roll it out to more people. Same thing they did with the Model 3 and Y, where they rolled it out to more early access users as they validated over time. Okay, that was a bit of a mouthful, but that was the backstory. That's why we didn't get it. That's why we're getting it now a little bit later, but we got it nonetheless. Okay, so here we go really quickly. Version 14.1.3. Again, version difference, more parameters, more importantly, and this is a breakdown of what that looks like. So they've added, and you've probably seen this already, so if you have, go ahead and skip ahead, but they've added arrival options now. So this completes the end-to-end portion of full self-driving, being able to pull from one parking spot to a curb, a driveway, a garage, wherever else you're going to go in your destination, and do it end-to-end. What happened before in version 13 is that sometimes we'll find a parking spot, sometimes it wouldn't, but it'd really be on you to not necessarily start it, because it could start and get out of a parking spot, but to end it and put it where you want it to go. Okay, so this makes it end-to-end, giving you some parking options for either parking on the parking lot, parking on the street, parking in a driveway, parking in a parking garage, or at curbside. Okay, so it also added the handling of pulling over for emergency vehicles. When it sees emergency vehicles and lights, maybe it uses the microphone externally to hear it as well. They'll go ahead and pull over to the side and give them the right of way, as we should. So that's great. So it's for fire trucks, police cars, and ambulances. They've added navigation routing into vision-based neural nets for real-time handling of blocked roads and detours. What that means is when it sees a detour, even if the navigation says go straight, it's going to go ahead and turn around or go the way that it needs to go, whether it's a U-turn, go a different direction, but deviate from the navigation intentionally for the purposes of a detour. We saw little glimpses of that in version 13, where it would kind of do its own thing and go a different route without construction, but just go its different route without the navigation. But this is intentionally for handling of detours. So this is great. Okay. Added additional speed profiles to further customize driving style preferences. This is going to be giving us the ability to change the different profile. If you'd like it to go a little slower, a little faster, so on and so forth, you can do that. We already had that before with for many different versions of version 13 and version 12. So this is nothing different, but just now giving you more customization. We're going to see what that looks like. Okay, improve handling for static and dynamic gates. So people who live in gated communities, places where there are gates, the bars that come down, so on and so forth. This handles that so that it doesn't kind of look to go straight through and you have to kind of take over. It'll look to stop, wait for the gate to open, or wait for the arm to come up, and you're good to go. Improve offsetting for road debris. So moving out of the way for debris in the road, some more parameters, some more detail, some more nuance that the car is going to be able to use to make great decisions, as opposed to running over tree branches or running over every pothole or any type of debris that's in the road. Maybe not potholes, but debris for sure. Improve handling of several scenarios, including unprotected turns, lane changes, vehicle cut-ins, and school buses, making sure it handles that better. Improve FSD ability to manage system faults and recover smoothly from degraded operations for enhanced reliability. This is great. Sometimes the camera gets blinded, it's dirty, and it kind of says, hey, it's been degraded. So less features, less functionality. Sometimes when the weather is getting, raining, starting to rain a little bit, it might say FSD is degraded. This is looking to improve on that. And then we added the alert for residue buildup on the interior windshield that may impact front camera visibility. So that's also great. And then we got some upcoming improvements for smoothness, sentience, and parking spot selection and parking quality, which is great. All right, so we got arrival options here. We can choose between curbside, parking lot, street, and driveway. We've got the speed profiles: Sloth, Chill, Standard, Hurry, and Mad Max. Okay, so we're using this right scroll wheel now. It says Mad Max, which comes with higher speed and more frequent lane changes than Hurry. For those that don't know, Max is the character, the Mel Gibson character from Mad Max, and then of course the prequel or sequel, I'm not sure what it is, Fury Road. There's that as well. So yeah, that's just a spin on that. They drive very reckless and crazy and try to be aggressive and get in front of the other person. I think this means more assertiveness. I think that's the right term to use when we're talking about the car. It's not aggressive. It's not trying to do things in a negative way, but it's trying to be more assertive. It's trying to assert itself. It used to be called assertive back in the day. Now it's Hurry, and now it's going to be surpassed by Mad Max mode. So that's cool. UI improvements, adjustments to the UI. I'm looking forward to seeing those. I can already see it now. The button's here. It's kind of glowing. There's a little bit of a glow and a drop shadow behind it, which is kind of cool. No longer says full self-driving supervised. It just says start self-driving, which is what they're trying to rebrand it to. And then they go from there, and then brake confirm is off by default. And then, yeah, we're ready to go. So let's get this on the road. Let's take it for a spin, see what it does. We're going to do our Suburban Gauntlet so we can kind of see what the differences are between version 13 and version 14. Immediately following that, as we stop on the same video, we're going to go to a mall and see what the parking lot situation is like there. Then we'll jump on the highway. Highway I might cut off and make a separate video for because I want to talk in more detail. But let's get it going from here. Okay, so I'll put my cameras up. I'll tap instead of, you don't have to hold it anymore. I can just press tap. And I'm good to go. Start to back up immediately. No hesitation, no waiting, no delay. Good to go. Nice. I have the profile and I have driveway. So my park, I'll just say curbside. It defaulted, I guess, to my last one. Making a little turn here in this parking lot here to get to the exit. Kind of steep. I hope it doesn't go too fast. Okay. Lots of cars to the left. It's going to take its time and get out. Man, version 13 was so good. This really has a high bar. Ugh. Suspension was up. And ladies crossing. Great job getting out, slowing down. Car coming up behind us, hot. Does a great job of handling that. Seeing the lady. I didn't see the lady. She was blocked by the pillar there. So great job on the car there. So far, very smooth. Similar to before. The new visuals are here. No more yoke or steering wheel icon, which I kind of miss. Just says self-driving in blue. I wonder how that's going to do for people who can't see very well, or who may need to boost up the font size on the UI. I don't know if it affects that here in the instrument panel, but this is a little bit different than the 3NY interface that you may have seen. I'm also noticing some residuals from 3NY. I mean, everything is a residual from 3NY at this point because they focus so much on that single screen experience that they don't give too much thought to the dual screen experience. At least right now, I see the dot for attention monitoring is over here next to the clock, which is kind of weird, a weird place to have it. It used to be right here, and it contrasts well against the black, so you can see whether it was on or off, or you could see whether the external microphones are on or internal microphones are on. But now being over here kind of gets washed out with the map, if you guys can see that. Okay, would love for them to bring it back over here. I know what the problem might be is that in maybe different languages, as you translate that word self-driving, it may expand and kind of push it closer to the edge of the screen. I can see that being a problem. It also shows the hurry, the speed profile that you have. Nice little glow under the car here, if you guys can catch that when it's sitting still, and then it turns into the beam or the path planner as you start to go. For those wondering and no one take the time to look at the comments, or the description, I should say, Model S Plaid 2024, we're in the hurry profile, hardware 4, version 14.1.3. Okay, so far so good. Nothing different, nothing jumps out at me different than 13.2.9. It was so good before. Had its issues with no turn on red. I'm interested if we'll see a scenario like that where we can test if that's fixed or not. But other than that, it was pretty good. Overall driving smooth, this is good. Confidence levels, comfort, safety, all good. I hear an emergency vehicle. Don't know where it's coming from. Good job stopping for this light. Nice smooth stop. Not a hard stop, which is great. Doesn't try to go, doesn't try to do anything. It just goes, self-driving, and then the hurry profiles there. Here are the different profiles we have here while we're stopped at the light. Chill, Standard, Sloth, and Mad Max. If you choose Sloth, you can't see Mad Max until you scroll over, and then you'll see Mad Max there. But if you choose Sloth, Sloth, because if you choose Chill, you'll see Mad Max. If you choose Standard, but Sloth, if you choose that one. I'm staying in hurry, which is what I was in before, because it's a good apples to apples comparison to version 13. And then you get the destination options here. For some reason, a little bit of a glitch here maybe, I lost my navigation. I don't know if you guys saw that. Maybe, okay, there we go. Not a glitch. So I guess that's on purpose. So when you modify the self-driving profiles for the parking and the profiles, okay, maybe it was a glitch, you lose the turn by turn here. Maybe a glitch. Again, I think they're just kind of hurry up and trying to get Model S and X out. They'll refine that over time. This is still technically in early access, so I can take a few bugs here and there. No worries. Okay, so there is an emergency situation here. Fire truck is here, but they're not moving, so I don't think it's going to do anything. But again, you have those options here. Would love to show the at destination on this screen here. So you have self-driving, hurry, and then the at destination option should be there. So if you need to change it, you'll know that by looking here and not looking here. Again, just the residuals of the single screen experience. They want you to look here, which is not really where most Model S and X owners are going to be looking, because they'll have this big display here. It's kind of reacting to the lights it sees there. Now it's giving the signal to go around. Good job respecting that. I understood what it was going to be. Didn't know how it was going to react. Good job taking the precaution to pull over just in case, but it wasn't needed. Car behind us was getting ready to pass us, and it did a good job of getting back in there before it passed us. So that's great. Super smooth as before, nothing majorly different. Good turn. Let's watch the distance from the curb. Good job there. Good job taking that turn. All good. Never had any issues with version 13. 13 was rock solid. Never really had, even in the dark and in the rain. Great job handling curves and managing curves for the size of the Model S. Cyclist here, or motorcyclist. There's a parked car here, so he or she is gonna have to go around. They slowed down, we went past, no problem, no hesitation, no jerky braking or anything like that. Similar to version 13, super smooth. What the expectations are here is version 13, but handling the things that version 13 couldn't handle, so a little bit better. Nothing major, but just a little bit better, a little bit more refinement and polish over version 13 is my expectations. Let's see what it does. Flashing yellow light, probably has the red to the left and right. Slows down nicely because it has the right of way. A little bit of, very jerky braking. I take that back, look at that. Very heavy on the brakes. I can kind of feel that already, meaning it's relying more on the friction brakes than the regen braking. And it almost reminds me of how my grandmother used to drive, where she was just heavy on the brake and you could feel her every intention by her pumping the brake. That's what that scenario just reminded me of. Like stop, let go, stop, let go, stop, let go. Good job on that curb too. Garbage truck here needs to slow down and go around. Good job. Sees the car. Yeah, heavy on the brake. Yeah, those brake presses are pretty intense. Definitely need to smooth that out. Version 13 was similar to that when it first started too, so nothing terrible. And we're at our destination. Watch out for that. Oh, good job avoiding that debris there. Look at that. Great job. Trying to find a nice place to park, but all those leaves are there. So that's great. Awesome job. Look how close we are to the curb. That's great. Let's go to the next one. Perfect job so far. Let me make sure this is the right way. We want to go this way, and we want to start. Same profile. Great job. Uber Black's there, and it's still trying to go around that pile there of leaves, which is great. That's a great test for debris avoidance and being able to handle stuff like that. You don't want to roll into those piles of leaves. You don't know what's underneath them. If anything's sharp, nails, things like that, definitely want to try to avoid them. So it did a great job there. Excellent job. Let's keep it moving. I'll drop down to standard right now just to see what it feels like. A little bit slower, a little less power, but still super smooth. Speed bumps are coming up ahead, consecutive speed bumps. Let's see what it does. 13 past this one. See what happens. See if it relies on the friction brakes or the regen braking for the speed bumps. Speed hump, signage is there. Signage on the ground is there. Slows down nicely. Good job. 13 mile an hour. Excellent job for this first one. Just trying to redirect me. I'm going to just change course here. Here we go. Second speed bump. Good job. Excellent work here. And now we got an unprotected left that we have to go through. This is always a high stakes turn because cars kind of fly behind blind turns and corners. So it's difficult to see. You have to kind of creep all the way out there to really see left and right. Full stop. Still in standard mode. A little bit smoother. Not as fast moving. Cars are coming fast to the right. It could go. Maybe at a higher profile speed it would have went. Standard's going to take its time to look for a bigger gap. It's got all clear after this one. Go for it. Excellent work. Here's the part where version 13 even gets tripped up. There's a funny little turn here for a driveway that it typically would miss. Let's see if it gets it. It's kind of short deadline situation here. It's got to come nice and slow into here. Well done. Excellent. Excellent job. It's a little gated community or semi-gated community. Okay. Standard is nice and easy. Take this moment for a second to jump down to Sloth. See what that does. Sloth is super on the limit. Okay, so scrolling up and down used to control the speed, now just controls the driver profile. Clicking left and right also controls the speed profile. I bumped up to chill just now. So if you got the scroll wheel for the Model S and X, it's going to be utilizing the up and down scroll or the left and right click. Back in the day before FSD, it used to be up and down for speed, left and right for follow distance. Good job navigating around these pedestrians, the jogger, the landscapers, etc. Great caution around them, as usual. I'll hurry things up, so I'll jump back up to hurry. See what it does. Ooh, a little hard on the brake. It's getting a little overly cautious around pedestrians. Not a bad thing, but the way that it does it is using the friction brakes, which can be a little jarring. Would love it to rely a little bit more on the looking left and right, blind corner, lots of trees in the way, lots of braking. So lots of heavy on the friction brake, less on the regen braking. Would love it to rely more on the regen braking. But so far, so good. This is on par, if not a little bit more refined than version 13. It's not leaps and bounds over version 13 because version 13 was so good. It's just a little bit of extra polish in certain areas and a little bit of regression when it comes to this braking situation. So little pros and cons here. But obviously the big thing is going to be that destination option, being able to pull over against that curb and let that be a consistent thing that it can do over and over again, and not like, okay, sometimes it's going to pull over, sometimes it's not. And they did a great job of pulling over and avoiding those trees and avoiding parking in front of someone's driveway. That was also another point to make. So great job. Cars are coming around. It's doing a good job maintaining a speed while getting closer to the curb and getting around those cars. So just a continuous flow of movement with the car right here. No real hesitation. That curb is always suspicious, but it did a great job handling that. On certain rare occasions, super rare occasions, version 13 would try to run a red light. And I'm also curious to look out for that as well. We're trying to run red lights. Very rare for me in this Northeast area, but it did happen. It definitely was a thing. And for those that still have it, you might know about this as well. Smooth acceleration from a stop. Now it's really getting up to speed, really putting on the power. 31, 34. That's pretty assertive. If I want it less, I go to standard. I think standard might be my sweet spot. If I jump down to standard, I think it'll get a little slower. Right now it's 25 limit. It's going 35. I don't have any offsets. Oh, I guess the same offset is there. I don't know. It took the offsets away. No offset. So we just use the profiles to dictate what it is. I'll pop back up to hurry. Didn't really seem to make a difference when I jumped down to standard, but it's still going 34, which is what it thinks it needs to do here. Good job, pedestrian. Not overreacting. Good job. Now at this destination, I actually want to park in the parking lot, which is already selected. Now again, I have to look here to do that. I would love for it to be on the instrument panel here, so I can just know self-driving, hurry, parking in the parking lot. Just get that right over here, because that's where we want to look. We want to keep our attention here, look at the road, look down, maybe look over here if we need to see some extra instructions that are not here. Maybe see the name of the street that I'm going to turn on in more detail, because sometimes it can get cut off like it is right here. New Providence Road, new part is cut off. Here it's fully there, fully visible. So far so good. It's been great. Again, brake stabbing aside, if you take that away, assuming that's going to get fixed by the time that the masses get it, this is going to be something special. And if we can get reduced monitoring, attention monitoring issues, will be golden. If someone can take a nap and be productive, that would be the ultimate thing that will sway the crowd or the masses to adopt this, new adopters. True value add, especially going into New York City. We'll do that coming up soon. We've seen some cars go in there already. Shout out to those that did it. That we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit more focused on the commute to and from New York City versus traversing through New York City, because parking is mad. You know, it's going to be crazy if you just try to find parking in New York City. So of the options that I see here, there's like parking, curbside, parking in the parking lot. Great job signaling here. Good job turning. But of the options I see here, I just see parking in different scenarios. What I don't see, which would be super valuable for New York City, would be like a spin the block mode or standby mode or overwatch mode, where the car can just like circle around and around until you come out of your store, because it's never going to find parking. Okay, full stop here. It's got to creep up a lot to be able to see to the left. Creeps up. It can go. It's a little hesitant, a little bit of braking, thinking and braking, and then it's off. Not terrible. Totally fine. Totally safe. I'm good. But yeah, we need some kind of mode where the car can just like be on standby, not park anywhere. Maybe it double parks for a few minutes, and if a police car comes, it kind of takes off and goes around the block and tries to double park somewhere else. Something like that. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, it's almost impossible to try to go around and find parking in a timely manner in New York City. And then there's the cases where it has to go to a parking garage in New York City, or anywhere where there's any urban area where there's a parking garage, where you have to stop at a certain point and get out and let the attendant get in. There's that whole scenario as well. So I'd be interested to see how it handles that. But we'll see. We'll get there. But shout out to those that already went there and got a chance to check it out with the Model Y. New York City got a lot of good use cases. Definitely check that video out. Yield here, nice and smooth, rolled right through it. That was great. Nice and smooth and rolled through it. Didn't stop, come to a full stop. Didn't wait for anything. And then goes. A little bit of hesitation there, but that's okay. I'm always noticing the micro corrections, but again, that's what I told you guys before. This software is being designed around the Model Y form factor, Model 3 and Model Y form factor. So if it's not that, there's going to be those micro corrections. Maybe the computer is second guessing itself. Maybe it's being overly cautious not to hit the rim on the curb or hit something on the edge. I'm okay with that totally. Okay, so I think I went a little bit of a different way this time, and that's okay. We're still going to get where we need to get to. I think we went around the other side of the circle instead of going this way. Maybe some traffic there. But we'll go this way, see what this way yields, something new for you guys who've never seen it before. Super smooth, super relaxing, nothing to write home about. But if you are relaxing, those brake pumps will definitely wake you up. Good speed control going downhill, very steep downhill, incline, decline. Does a great job controlling the speed. It's 40 mile per hour zone here, maintaining a little bit of a 35 mile an hour speed. Again, keeping track of the car in front of us, the speed that they're going, making sure we don't get too hot and don't have enough braking distance. So all good, safe things. Narrowly avoided those potholes in the road. Car creeping out, slows down a little bit on the brake, then keeps going. Again, it starts to just think with the brake. Again, that's how my grandmother used to drive, thinking with a brake and just pumping and pumping and pumping every time she, someone's coming. There's a light. Oh no, it's yellow. And just pump, 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 pump. Not terrible. Not to paint a negative picture on it. It's not terrible. It's not the greatest, but it's not terrible. It's not as good and smooth as version 13 in that regard. But it's still highly competent. Let's see where it stops. It's supposed to stop right here for the limit line. Does a great job stopping for that limit line. Let's see if it tries to blow through it. No, it does not. Very still. Excellent job. Ooh, steep left turn. Good job. Handles it with good poise. Gets back on the power. Good work. Blind corner. Not overreacting for the pedestrian, walking straight up to the edge. Great. Hopefully a lot of the kinks got worked out with the previous versions. A little bit of follow action here for the car. Notice it does that sometimes when maybe the field of view of the road is blocked by the vehicle like it is for us. it sometimes follows and does what the car in front of it does, which is sometimes a desired behavior, especially in construction zones. But that leads it to going over some lines, sometimes not being perfectly straight, so on and so forth. So it's a learned behavior. I think it's something that again is necessary in certain instances. When those instances are, I don't know. Like versus when it should versus when it shouldn't. If this person's a bad driver, if he's drunk, he's swerving all over the road. Should this car swerve all over the road? Probably not. If this car is driving over the line, should we drive over the line? Probably not. But I've always wondered how the car sees behind an object that's too close and too big to see the road ahead. Like this car right here. All right, we're almost there. Little brake stab right there. Or brake pump. I don't like to call it the stab, call it a pump. Nice, smooth slow down this steep hill. Excellent way to handle that. Yeah, we're almost there. Took the other way. I'm not sure what the actual speed limit is here. It says 35, 25 when flashing for school. We are passing a school. Someone with a bike overreacting like that. I think that was the right move because you don't know what that kid was going to do. I think that was a warranted brake pump. Little turn signal here for the cone that's sticking out. Good job avoiding it. Turn signal back on. Emergency vehicle with the lights on. Let's see what happens this time. Signaling to go over the line. A little bit of pumping, a lot of pumping. Just to be cautious and goes. Would love for it to lean on the regen for those scenarios. Regen is so good in Teslas. Not the most powerful, but they're so good. It's like perfectly tuned so that you can let your foot off or let go of the accelerator and allow it to slow down almost to a complete stop almost instantly, depending on the speed. So low speeds like this, ooh, way overreaction for that dog. That was brutal. Flag that one. One thing you'll note here is no accelerator pressures, no interventions, no encouragements. It's been doing its thing. Just that one incident, just overreacting for pedestrians, which again is not a bad thing. You're being overly cautious for pedestrians at the cost of the comfort of the ride. I think that's acceptable as long as I'm not getting whiplash or anything like that. I think we're good. Now, what I will do on the highway is when I get to the highway portion of this, probably the next video, I'll turn it to Plaid. Right now it's in standard acceleration, I believe. Yeah, it's a sport acceleration. I'll turn it to Plaid. I can imagine this being a little bit more brutal, especially on Mad Max with Plaid. So I'm interested to see what that looks like and feels like. But so far, Suburbia, it's looking real good for Suburbia and FSD. Very bumpy road. I've been doing a good bit of looking around, still no attention monitoring. I've been looking at the screen. You saw me make some adjustments. I'm liking where the attention monitoring is right now compared to version 13, where I definitely would have yelled at me just for changing something here. So I appreciate that. All clear all around, it can go. The other directions where we would have came from if we went the other way. We got here nonetheless. Here's a steep hill that we typically go up. Probably just shows the best route for time. Very steep hill. See, that regen is here now. Now it's regen. Crawling up this hill, not heavy friction braking. So it's nice and smooth. There's a police officer directing traffic up here. Guys, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. Hope our street isn't blocked off. And if it is, let's see what it does. Oh, it should be good. Good job. Micro correction for the size. Appreciate it. All right, come up to our destination, which actually has a parking lot. Interested to see how it does. Usually it would turn in that driveway, but now it's turning into the actual school. Let's see what happens. Ooh, pretty packed parking lot. Making a first right. So see any spots? Spots straight ahead. Although it's going to try to turn into here. Head in. Okay. Very close to this car on the left. You got, oh, come on. You got to straighten out. Oh, what can we do? All right, guys. That was the first trip. I noticed it didn't jump into the parking mode where it shows the specific spots where you can select one. So that was kind of weird. But this was a great first drive. A lot of things very similar to version 13. A lot of things a little bit smoother and better. Obviously, the starting and end was better than version 13. But some of the brake stabbing there. So I'm going to give this one Uber Black, just a standard. And now we're going to jump really quickly to the next destination. And we'll go here. Now, how far is this? 10 minutes. We'll give it a shot. So we'll go here. So stick with us if you can. If you can't, come back, check it out another time, but we'll start from here. Backing up from this tight, not good spot to put us in. Don't be the first to hit anything here. Very tight. Good job getting us out. There's the parking stack there where it shows the parking lines and lots, and you can choose the spot. Doesn't seem to be using that. It seems to just be using pure FSD. All right. See what it does. Follow this car, if nothing else. Just rolls right through because no one was there and there's no stop sign. That is the correct behavior. And we're off. Wonder if I can pick a specific store. See if I can pick a specific store. Maybe Nordstrom. See, it's trying to work its parking magic here, how to get in there. I guess we'll just leave it right. Let me try Nordstrom. And then I will remove the other one. Again, no nagging at me, which is great. So just 8 more minutes to the drive here. We can get a good sense of the parking situation. Maybe he does a better job parking here. And we'll see. I did test briefly the parking at home. I'm not going to show that for privacy reasons, but our driveway is very steep. So you have to like really use power to get up there. So someone never really worked under there, and FSD didn't even try to go in before. It actually went in head in on one trip and backed in on the other trip, just to spin around the block just to see what it looks like, and did a great job of getting us up there. It doesn't go in the garage. If your garage is not a straight shot and you have to like come up and turn into the garage or wait for the garage door open to go in left or right, it doesn't do that. It'll just park you right in the driveway at the top or at the end, close to the garage, which is great. I can appreciate that. I think that's part of the upcoming improvements, is to make it so that it can go into the actual garage itself and park at a specific spot. But so far, it's doing things that I've never seen it do before in that regard when it comes to going home. So you can get a true end-to-end experience, especially if you think about a long day at work or a long night out partying in the city or whatever. You want to come back home, car can just take you all the way to the driveway. You can just get out and walk in. That's great. True value add, especially for the people who are working or partying. One thing I am hearing and noticing, and maybe it's just me, I'm hearing my motors a little louder with this build. I knew it immediately when I took it out last night. Like the motors sound a little bit louder. I don't know what it is. Oh, oh, great job. Great job. Wow. Look at that. Talk about handling road debris. It slowed down for the uneven pavement. Wow. I was getting ready to take over. Look at that. Excellent work, Tesla. Some of the drivers don't even notice that. Like the pavement just went away and it has that lip at the end where it's not fully, fully smoothed out, where you got to kind of slow down a lot. That did a great job reacting to that. Look at the guys over here coming to that slowdown, dropping down that big drop. No signage or anything. It just came out of nowhere. Excellent work here. That one I probably could have handled with a little bit more grace, but I'll take it. That was great. Nothing. Well, a little bit of swerving here. Emergency vehicle. Lots of emergency vehicles out in this area. Nothing worse than a bent rim or bent rims, and that's an easy way to get one. Those uneven roads like that. All right, coming to our destination here. Second destination. Hurry mode still. I'll do Mad Max for the next one. Now this is an interesting mall because it has lots of different parking options. I don't even think it lets me specify the parking options here. I think it's just gonna find its way. Let's see what it decides to do. Looks like it wants to go. It looks like it wants to go straight, stop, in here, but I can't tell if that's in the mall or out. Ow. That hurt. All right. Okay, I think it's going to go to the next one. Okay. Good, good. Nice. Now the pin is way back. I'll show you guys here. The pin is way back here. I don't even know which direction it's going to go in. I don't know if it's just going to find a spot and pull over. All right, we're good to go. A little hesitation. Good to go. Car coming out. Don't go. Okay. It's just going to park here, even though our destination is way back here. There's other parking lots and other ways to get there. Probably doesn't know how to get there from a navigation data perspective. Spot right here. Doesn't light up the parking situation, but it looks like it's going to back in, which is great. Great job. It'll have to do a two-step maneuver here because it's a bigger car. Look, no hesitation. Oh, wow, the flow. of reverse to drive to reverse, and just smoothly getting in here. Wow, this is awesome. Wow, perfect. Look at the lines, look at the detail. Excellent job at the end here. Wow, this is incredible. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up here. We did our quick first initial impressions drive through our suburban gauntlet, altered a little bit, and then we parked there. And then we parked again at a parking lot at our destination. Now we parked again at the mall. Great job backing in. First time I did head in. First time I did curbside, which was great, avoiding leaves and debris. Second time it did head in, not so great. Tight parking spot, I kind of just gave up and got real close. Not the greatest, but we'll take it. You can always adjust yourself manually to make it how you want to make it. And then this one was perfect. Perfect way to get back out here and just go right into the spot, back in, nice and easy, nice and even, right? Just to get you in here, ready to go. So I think this is really good. I'm going to give this again a higher Uber Black on the second drive, just because it handled the uneven road really well, where I didn't think it would actually do that or respond to it. Version 13 definitely wouldn't have done that. Version 12, forget about it. And then the parking situation at the end. So we got a true end-to-end experience from parking spot to another parking spot, with no interventions, no encouragements, no nothing. It just seamlessly went safely, calmly. Brake pumping excluded. That's still an issue. I think it should be ironed out within the next build or so. If this one is even better than what I've heard from before, but still there, still persistent, still needs to get worked out. So again, high Uber Black on this one. Really, really great drive overall. I'm going to, just because it's doing so well and version 13 was so good, I'm going to reduce the scale. I'm going to chop off all of my things lower than Uber Black and then focus on Uber Black and car service and see how far we can get between those two builds to get to car service in full and get that full end-to-end chauffeur experience, white glove experience. Okay. But overall, confidence was great. And sometimes the brake padding is sometimes, or brake pumping is sometimes an indication of lack of confidence, but I understood it for what it was. But for the layperson, if you're just riding along, you feel the brake pumping, that may indicate a lack of confidence. I think it's just extra precaution more than anything else. So extra on the safety end. So safety, confidence, comfort was there. Again, the only discomfort I got was from the brake pumping. So otherwise, it was pretty good. It was pretty good to go. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you thought about this drive. If you got version 14 on Model 3 or Model Y, what have been your experiences? Do you have the brake pumping as well? Have you noticed any persistent issues from version 13? I want to hear about it in the comments. Next drive, really quickly, right after this, but on the next video, will be Highway Mad Max and plus some other stuff. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until the next time, enjoy your day. Enjoy your Tesla.